Hey guys, sorry that this is a bit late, but today's video will be my November wrap up. And in November, I finished 8 books. Uh, that's quite a lot because, well, one of those books is freaking massive. As we all know, it's Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson. And the first book that I finished in November is Hollow Empire by Sam Hawk. This is the second book in the Poison Wars duology, and I think this is a very incredible sequel, and it's one of my favorite books of the year for sure. Right now, this series is a duology, and the continuation of the series will depends on the sales of both City of Lies, the first book, and Hollow Empire. So if you find this book interesting or this series, do get yourself a copy as soon as possible because, well, the continuation depends on us now. And not only the author needs it, I need it too because I want the third book to appear. There's still room for one more story here, and a third book could definitely make this series even more amazing than it already was. But anyway, again, regarding the book, this is a significant improvement over the first book. The pacing was incredibly well done, and I think there wasn't any moment where I felt bored reading this book. None. It was so good throughout the entire book, and the character sibling between the two main characters, Jovan and Kalina, were so well realized. They felt so believable, they're genuine, and they're just lovable characters. And as a bonus, in the beginning of each chapter, there's an epigraph. And in this epigraph, Sam Hawk did something very interesting. She included a number of incidents that take place in the world of the series, but instead of normal incidents, it's all poisoning incidents that involve characters based on authors. So there is Nicholas Eames, there is Evan Winter, there is Jen Williams, and Anna Stevens, and there's so much more authors that got killed here in the epigraph, and some are book bloggers too. I definitely noticed that the people at the Fantasy Inn blog group, all of them were killed here. Amazing, amazing. They made me laugh, and overall, this is just a magnificent sequel, and it's hands down one of my favorite books of the year. I think Sam Hawk did an amazing job. The second book that I finished in November is Dawnshot by Brandon Sanderson. This is the novella that takes place after Oathbringer, but before Rhythm of War. So this is the Stormlight Archive 3.5. It focuses on Ryzen, the Lopen, and Huyo. The Lopen is one of the funnest characters, and it gave me joy to read more about Lopen. And what's even more amazing about this novella is despite its short length, I think this is a very, very satisfying novella to read. And Ryzen is one of the finest character to ever appear in Stormlight Archive, in my opinion. I actually want her to be one of the main characters in the main series. She only appeared briefly in the main series as interlude characters, and hopefully one day in the future, especially after the event that takes place in Dawnshot, that she will become one of the main characters in the main series. Hopefully. At the moment, Dawnshot is only available as an ebook. If I'm not mistaken, the physical edition will come out next year. And do you have to read Dawnshot before you read Rhythm of War? Mm, I will say not really, but well, as I said in my review of Rhythm of War, I think it will be beneficial for you to just read everything in the Cosmere. Everything will become much more connected in the future, and the sooner you get caught up, the better. That's it for Dawnshot. I absolutely loved it. I think it's one of Sanderson's finest novella, just behind Emperor's Soul. Then the third and fourth book that I finished in November is Peace Talks and Battleground. This is book 16 and book 17 of the Dresden Files. That means now I'm fully caught up with the entire Dresden Files series. It's a bit unfortunate regarding Peace Talks and Battleground. It all comes down to the fact that these two books should have been one volume. It shouldn't have been divided into two books. Both Peace Talks and Battleground, there were contents that were just so unnecessary to include. It was very clear that both books actually have filler moments, and I personally think that if both books were actually combined into one like it was originally planned, it would have been one of the best books of the series. Like for example, the first quarter of Battleground, it was so unnecessary. It's still a non-stop battle throughout the whole book in Battleground, but in the first quarter, the characters were pretty much fighting minor enemies that doesn't feel like they belong there. It's just weird, especially because the entire Battleground actually feels like the Dresden Files endgame. Almost every character appeared, the battles were massive, and it truly felt like it was going to be the end of the series or something. I'm actually surprised that the Dresden Files still has around 5 more books before one last massive trilogy. I'm still not too sure whether this is possible or not because everything feels like it's going to the end already. But I guess we'll see. and hopefully it won't take too long for the next book to come out. The fifth book that I finished in November is To Be Thought If Fortunate by Becky Chambers. This is a standalone novella that doesn't take place in her famous Wayfarer series. Surprisingly, I actually quite enjoyed this one. I didn't enjoy Wayfarers. I haven't finished The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet. I have tried it twice, and twice I DNF'd it at the same location. I have no idea whether it's just my mood or not, but I feel that The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet was really boring for me. But then after reading To Be Thought If Fortunate, I think that maybe I was just in the wrong mood twice. Maybe. Because I did feel that this novella, the only issue that I had with it is that it's too short. I actually wanted more. It's thought-provoking, it's hopeful, and I love Becky Chambers' writing here. Hopefully the next time I attempt The Wayfarers, it will be a much better experience. Then the sixth book that I finished is The God King's Legacy by Richard Nell. This is a different series than his Ash and Sand trilogy. The God King's Legacy comprised of two novellas that serves as a prequel to the God King Chronicles, which hasn't been released yet. And Richard Nell has mentioned that the stories contained in the God King Chronicle series will connect with Ash and Sand trilogy. But don't worry, you don't have to read Ash and Sand before you read this one. And I think this one is just a glimpse of the greatness to come in Richard Nell's future books. As I've mentioned already, I'm a huge fan of Ash and Sand trilogy, and although this one it did felt a bit too short to have that impact that Kings of Paradise, Kings of Ash, and Kings of Heaven have, but it's still a good book, especially the first novella in this collection. The seventh book that I finished is Rhythm of War by Brandon Sanderson, and well, this is the fourth book in the Stormlight Archive. I have already posted a full review on my first review on BookTube already. If you haven't watched my book review, feel free to watch it. It's spoiler free. And if you prefer a written format, I have actually written a 3.7k reviews. It's pretty much a short story that Goodreads won't even allow to post because I've exceeded the characters limit by 1,500 words. But to very briefly summarize my thoughts on Rhythm of War, I think this is another masterpiece in the Stormlight Archive, but it is not the best one in my opinion. At the moment, I think of Rhythm of War as the third best in the series. I think Oathbringer and Words of Radiance are still better, but who knows, maybe on reread, I would find that Rhythm of War somehow improved in the ranking. Because there is a very good chance that this is the kind of book that will improve so much on reread. There was a slog in part 3, but I absolutely love part 1, part 2, part 4, and part 5, and the mind-blowing epilogue. They were so amazing. Truly, Sanderson is a storming genius. Just so well done. It has the weakest flashback chapters so far in the series, but overall, this is still another incredible series and definitely my book of the month. And the last book that I finished in November is Black Coast by Mike Brooks. This is the first book in the God King Chronicles. Do not mistake this as Richard Nell's. Coincidentally, they have the same series name. This is the beginning of an epic fantasy that focuses on cooperation. It centers around two different cultures with a lot of hatred between them in the past that's currently doing their best to cooperate and find peace. I think this is a great book and a lot of people would definitely love this one. It's unfortunate that I didn't find it as amazing as I hoped. Besides the two main characters, Daimon and Sana, which were incredibly well written by the way, I couldn't connect with the other main characters at all. I don't know why. When I'm reading the book for more than half of the book, it felt like the other characters were just preparation for future books. But the themes of gender, identity, race, language, and the world building, everything was well written. If only I had connected more with the characters, I'm sure that I would have loved it even more. And I think I'm going to be on the unpopular side when this book comes out in February. And that's all the books that I finished in November. As I said, my book of the month is definitely Rhythm of War. Please do let me know which books are your favorite reads in November. As always, thank you so much for watching, and the next video that I will post next week will be my Q&A video, and I will attempt to answer every question that I receive. But there is no guarantee because apparently there is a total of 90 questions, and yeah, that's a lot. And yeah, that's it from me today. I hope you will look forward to that next video. Bye bye!